Hello once again, you're welcome to today's class. In today's class, we are looking at the poem The Good Morrow by John Donne. Our objective for today's class will be to understand the background of the poem, analyze the effects of the figurative devices used in the poem, and to discuss the themes of the poem. Before we start, let's understand what is the background of the poem. Who is John Donne? John Donne was a metaphysical poet. He lived during the 17th centuries. He was a pioneer of what we call metaphysical poetry. And when we talk about metaphysical poetry, we are looking at the kind of poetry that focused on, or that saw poetry as, we're looking at metaphysical poetry or metaphysical poets as people that saw poetry as an intellectual endeavor. That is, they use poetry as a means or as a way of expressing their wits, as a way of expressing their intellectual capability or intellectual prowess. So what these people did was to look for ways of expressing ideas such as spiritual awakening, love, in ways that was larger than life, in ways that they use out-of-the-world comparisons to discuss things like love, discuss things like spirituality, and the likes. So metaphysical poetry really explores themes some themes in a way that is different from the way other poets look at it. So when you look at metaphysical poetry, rather than experiencing emotion, what you will see is the use of words to show wit or intellectual prowess. Now let's look at, what we are going to do is to read the poem first. After reading the poem, then we'll look at a stanza-by-stanza analysis of the poem. It begins, stanza 1. I wonder by my troth, what thou and I did till we loved. Were we not winged till then, but sucked on country pleasures, childishly, or snorted we in the 7 sleepers' den. 'Twas so, but this all pleasure fancies be. If ever any beauty I did see, which I desired and got, 'twas but a dream of thee. Stanza 2. And now good morrow to our waking souls, which watch not one another out of fear, for love all love of other sides controls, and makes one little room and everywhere. Let sea discoverers to new worlds have gone. Let maps to other worlds on worlds have shown. Let us possess one world, each hath one and is one. Stanza 3. My face in thine eye, thine in mine appears, and true plain hearts do in the faces rest. Where can we find two better hemispheres, without sharp north, without declining west? Whatever dies was not mixed equally. If our two loves be one, or thou and I love so alike, that none do slacken, none can die. Now let's go back to stanza 1 for the analysis. Now, if we look at the poem, you'll understand that the language of the poem is not a modern language. From the language of the poem, you understand that the poem is not a modern poem. So we are going to situate this poem between the 15th and the 17th centuries. Okay? Now, the poem was set in the 17th century England. And if you look at the poem, you see that the physical setting of the poem is the poet's room, or the person's room. So in the poem, the poet talks about love, how he and his lover are waking in the same room, and they are waking to the fact that they're actually in love with each other. They are waking to the fact that whatever they had felt before was mere childishness, that what they see now in each other's eyes is true love. So let's look at stanza 1 line by line. It says, I wonder by my troth what thou and I did till we loved. were we not weaned till then? What he says here is this, that he wonders by his world what he and his lovers were doing before their awakening, before their eyes opened, before this awakening, before this understanding that they have about each other. So what he means is, what were they doing before now? But sucked on country pleasures childishly. So what he is saying is that before they understood each other, before this awakening, before their eyes, in quotes, opened, what they were doing was just merely physical childishness or merely physical pleasure. So he completely disregards whatever happened between both of them before this awakening, saying that whatever happened between them was mere childishness. So what he refers to here was probably the fact that they were both children and now they are mature. So he probably refers to the fact that whatever they felt for each other before now was mere physical love. But now they have gained emotional understanding and emotional maturity. So they've understood that what they see or what they have for each other is beyond the physical. It is more emotional and it is spiritual. Okay, he continues by saying, he compares what they felt before to, he says, or snorted we in the 7 sleepers then. Now this is a reference to the 7 sleepers, the story of the 7 sleepers who were sentenced to death by the Roman emperor. So what he's saying is that they slept before this emotional understanding or before this emotional maturity. They slept. It was as if they were sleeping for long years. They slept for a long time before they are awakened to this spiritual maturity. Say, 'twas so, but these all pleasures fancies be, that whatever they felt before now was mere physical pleasure. He says, if ever any beauty I did see, which I desired and got, it was but a dream of thee. So if they felt anything for each other before now, it was just a mere dream compared to what he feels now, compared to what he feels with this awakening in spirit, compared to what he feels with the understanding that he has of himself and his lover. So in stanza 1, we may understand that the poet somehow refers to the fact that, or the poet compares the love that he feels for his lover now and what they felt or what they were doing before. So it could be that in the first stanza, he was making reference to the fact that they were, to the fact that what they did before now was merely maybe physical love making. Now, outside the physical love making, now they have understood that what they feel for each other is more than the physical. It is now more emotional. So there is a deeper connection between them that goes beyond the physical and has transcended into the spiritual. Okay. Now let's look at stanza 2. And now good morrow to our waking souls. Good morrow here does not mean good morning. Good morrow to our waking souls mean awakening. That's, it's like bidding the lover happy awakening. Okay. And now good morrow to our waking souls, meaning that their eyes have opened. They are no longer who they were or who they used to be. They have been transformed. From the physical, they are now in the spiritual. They have been transformed. They are no longer fiddling with with mere childishness. Now they are looking at themselves in the spiritual realm. Which watch not one another out of fear. So in this realm, there is no fear. They look at each other out of love. They look at each other with confidence. They don't fear. There's no fear about what may happen tomorrow, because they know what they feel for each other, and they know that whatever they feel for each other is genuine and their connection is real. For love, all love of other sides control. Meaning that what he feels for his lover cannot be compared to whatever he has been seeing before now. And he doesn't care about whatever is happening elsewhere except what he sees in his lover. He continues and says, and makes one little room and everywhere. Now what he's trying to say is that that little room in which he and his lover lies is their world. Now if you look at this, you'll see that there is a comparison here. The poet uses extended metaphor here. He compares that little room to the entire world, to the whole world, saying that that room is their world. The room in which he and his lover lies is the whole, to them is their whole world. Even though it is little, it is the world that contains both of them. He moves further and says, let sea discoverers to new worlds have gone. Let maps to other worlds on worlds have shown. Let us possess one world, each hath one and is one. Now, another thing you understand about the poem is that it was written during the age of discovery, the age of exploration, the age of geographical exploration. So this was a time when we had people who explored the world. So what it means is that the language that the poet uses here, depicts this age. He shows that by saying, let's see discoverers to new worlds have gone. So what he says is that no matter what, people can go about their businesses and do whatever they want. He is stuck in this room with his lover, and that is all that matters to him. Let maps to other worlds on walls have shown. They can go ahead and do whatever they want. This is the only world this is the only world to which he belongs. That's the world in which he and his lover are. So he says that this is the only world to which he belongs, and that's the only world where he would choose to exist. Now the last line in this second stanza says, let us possess one world. Each hath one and is one. Now he's referring to the completeness of their world. That's of what they feel for each other. He says that in their little world, they are complete. Each of them makes up a complete half for their world. So he is a half of the world, and she is the other half. And they possess their world, and they are complete in this world. Moving further, in stanza 3 says, my face in thine eye, thine in mine appears. And true plain hearts do in the faces rest. Where can we find two better hemispheres? Now we see another use of extended metaphor. We see another use of conceits here. He says, my face in thine eye, mine appears. Meaning that their love is so complete, is full and genuine, so much that they both reflect each other's feelings. They are like a reflection of each other. So what he feels is reflected in his lover's face, and what his lover feels also reflects on his own face. So this further buttresses the fact that their love is genuine. And true plain hearts do in the faces rest. So in doing so, it shows that both of them, what if they feel for each other is honest. What they feel for each other is sincere. Their love is sincere, genuine, and honest, pure. Without sharp north, without declining west. Now, meaning that their faces, as it reflects their love, is perfect. Their love is perfect. There is no imperfection. There is no flaw. Whatever dies was not mixed equally. If our two loves be one, or thou and I, love so alike that none do slack and none can die. Here the poet expresses the balance in their love, that for them, their love is balanced. None weighs more than the other. What they feel for each other is balanced. Their emotions for each other is balanced. Their love is equal. What each other feels for the other person is equal. So in the third stanza, we'll see that he talks about the balance and perfection in their love. So overall, generally, the poem talks about love. The poet uses the bedroom as a metaphor for the world of the lovers. He refers to the fact that their world is their room is their world, and because they are so much in love with each other, they don't care what is going on in the outside world. They feel that their love is complete, their love is perfect, their love is everything that they need. Both of them complete each other. So they are both they are the hemispheres that make up each other's world, and without which their world will be incomplete. Now let's look at the poetic devices in the poem. The poet makes use of imagery. If you look at the poem, from the first stanza to the second stanza to the third stanza, we see the use of imagery. He makes use of words like world, sea, maps, north, west, hemisphere. Now these are imagery of exploration and discovery. Now this imagery, these words that were used, also helps us to situate the poem. That is, helps us to situate the poem in time, to know the setting of the poem, when the poem was written, and what happened around the time the poem was written. He also makes use of imagery of ignorance, images that shows in ignorance, such as wind, sucked, country pleasure, and childishly. Now these words show that whatever he felt for the lover before now was mere childishness. It also points us to the spiritual awakening that we were talking about, where we said, because after the physical childishness that they both had, their eyes have opened to spiritual maturity. So using these words to refer to what he felt before now points us to the fact that he is now mature. They also have extended metaphor. It says here, the poem compares newfound love to the experience of waking from a long, deep sleep. It is extended in the sense that the metaphor, the comparison here, the poet compares two things that are very much, that are not similar in any way. So the fact how he was able to compare love to waking up is extended metaphor. Okay, then we also have conceit. Conceit is actually one poetic device that was used during the time of metaphysical poetry. In most of the metaphysical poetries, some of the metaphysical poets use conceit. They seem to exaggerate things, make it look larger than life, and compare those things compare things that are very dissimilar. For example, we have their room compared to the whole world. Imagine a small room that is being compared to the whole world. That's an overly exaggerated comparison. Then it also says each of their faces is compared to a hemisphere. That's also a very dissimilar comparison. Moving on, we have rhetorical question. The poet uses rhetorical question to engage his readers in the beginning of the poem. Say, did till we loved, were we not weaned till then, but sucked on country pleasures childishly. By using this poem, by using these lines, or by using this question, it seems to bring us to the fact that he is pondering on something. So, and it also helps to engage the readers to also ponder alongside as he ponders. Then we have anaphora and parallelism. In this case, we look at the lines. The lines here says, let sea discoverers to new worlds have gone. Let maps to other worlds on walls have shown. Let us possess one world, each hath one and is one. We'll see that there is a pattern that the poet follows here. Each of the lines follow the same pattern. So that is what we mean by parallelism. Then in the case of anaphora, we see that in each line there is the repetition of the word let. So the poet uses this to also emphasize his message in the poem. Then we also have some other poetic devices, such as enjambment. We see that enjambment rather, we see that some of the lines in the poem run into other lines. For example, if you look at the line here in this anaphora, you see that the lines run into another until it ends in the last line. Okay. The themes, as we have discussed, we have spiritual awakening. If you look at the first stanza, in the first stanza, it's as if the poet persona's eyes have opened to a sudden reality, open to what he feels now. So his mind is awakened to something he didn't know before. And now he thinks that he is more spiritually mature than he used to be because of what he feels for his lover. So he feels that his love, what he feels for his lover, has transformed him into something else. There is a transformation between the physical and the spiritual. Okay? Then we have love. The whole poem talks about love. It talks about the genuineness of the genuineness of love, the perfect love that these two lovers feel for each other, and how balanced their love is, how perfect their love is, that they're so much in love with each other that they're so engrossed in each other and they do not bother about what happens in the outside world. So they are so focused on each other to know each other and love each other more. Then we have the transformative power of genuine connection. So from the poem, we understand that because this poet persona has felt love, the love that he has experienced from his lover has transformed him. What he has experienced has transformed him into something else, something that he wasn't used to, something that didn't used to be, or something that never existed, into something that he is now. So the love that he felt or feels for his lover has transformed him, has awakened him, has opened his eyes to a sudden reality. And this reality is a preferred reality. This reality is the reality of love, the reality that he never knew existed. So these are the themes in the poem. If you have if you can go to the exam guide to look for some questions on this poem, and then if you have some questions, do well to drop your questions. We'll be able to attend to you. Thank you very much.